In House of the Dragon, Episode 8, we saw Aemond Velaryon making a move to be named Lord of the Tides that backfires horribly, a Targaryen family dinner that goes off the rails, Aemond being introduced as Daemon 2.0, and Viserys looking worse for wear before finally passing. But what does it all mean? In this video, I will explain Episode 8 and all of the Easter eggs I saw. Spoiler warning if you have not seen it yet. The episode opened 6 years later. This should be the last of the time skips, so the characters and actors in this episode should remain with us for the rest of the series. Rhaenys Targaryen has been ruling Driftmark. Corlys Velaryon has been away fighting in the Stepstones against the Triarchy. During the recent fighting, he has taken a wound, and Rhaenys is told that he might not survive, and that he is being transported to Evenfall, which is where Brienne of Tarth is from in the main series. With Corlys's fate uncertain, the question of his succession to the Driftwood throne is left unresolved. Corlys had not officially named an heir, but last episode he made it clear that Lucerys was his pick to succeed him. He did this despite knowing that Luke was a bastard of Harwin Strong. However, Aemond, Corlys's brother, feels that he is the only true-born Velaryon left. Last episode, he made it clear at Laena's funeral that he suspects Rhaenyra's children were bastards, and during the confrontation, he was positioned on Alicent's side. Aemond believes that he is the true heir to Driftmark, but if he were to state the truth and name Luke a bastard, it could be considered high treason. So to bolster his claim, he gains the support of Alicent and the Hightowers. He proclaims himself as Corlys's heir and intends to plead his case before King Viserys. In the years since last episode, Viserys' health has reduced him to a decrepit shadow of his former self, plagued with sores that have consumed his entire body, causing him immense pain. He is given milk of the poppy that reduces the pain, but leaves his mind clouded, making him incapable of effectively ruling the realm. This has allowed Alicent and Otto to rule in his place, putting them in a position of extreme power that has allowed them to slowly rally support to Aegon's cause and undermine Rhaenyra's claim. One of the ways they hope to undermine Rhaenyra is to use Aemond to reignite the doubts about Rhaenyra's children's parentage, which in turn diminishes their claim and leads to questions of Rhaenyra's honor, poisoning the realm against Rhaenyra, further impacting her claim on the Iron Throne. On Dragonstone, Daemon ventures into a cave where he finds 3 eggs laid by Syrax, Rhaenyra's dragon. Dragonstone is a volcanic island filled with caverns, and the smell of sulfur and brimstone fill the air, making it the perfect place for dragons to thrive. In the books, both tamed and wild dragons were known to make these caves their lairs, where they would lay clutches of eggs. The value of dragon eggs is immeasurable, and having a dragon like Syrax lay eggs fairly frequently is a massive advantage for Rhaenyra to have access to. All of her children through Harwin Strong have hatched eggs from Syrax's brood, and in the episode we see Daemon and Rhaenyra have had 2 children, Aegon and Viserys, with a third on the way. In part, this is done to ensure Rhaenyra's line of succession is secure, but there is also an ulterior motive to have so many children. Dragons are like the nuclear weapons of this universe, capable of devastating entire armies and act as a deterrent to rebellion. Dragons were a symbol of power, and the more dragons you had, the stronger your position is. The easiest way to get more dragons is to have more children with blood of the dragon, the magical component that enables individuals to control dragons. So Daemon and Rhaenyra having more children not only secures Rhaenyra's line of succession, but also adds 3 more potential dragons to their cause. Daemon gets news of Aemond's intentions from his daughter Baela Targaryen, who has been a ward to Rhaenys Targaryen on Driftmark. With this news, Daemon, Rhaenyra and their children travel to King's Landing to challenge Aemond's claim on Driftmark. But when they arrive, they are not greeted in a manner that suits their position as heir to the Iron Throne and are made to wait. They are eventually greeted by Lord Caswell, the same guy who Rhaenyra and Laenor saw when they had to take baby Joffrey to Alicent right after she gave birth. The small council discusses the war in the Stepstones and Corlys Velaryon's succession. Tywin Lannister, the master of ships, and Jasper Wilde, the master of laws, side with Aemond and the Greens, while Lyman Beesbury, the master of coin, and Grand Maester Orwyle side with Luke Velaryon. It's clear that even on the small council, there is division. We also meet a couple of new Kingsguard, twins Eric and Arik Cargill. Each will have a role in the future of the series, so keep an eye out for them. Rhaenyra and Daemon visit Viserys, hoping to gain his support in the matter of Corlys' succession and Luke's claim on driftmark. It's pretty evident before we even see the king that his health and power have diminished, with his legacy falling into disrepair. His model city of Valyria acts as a metaphor for his rule. It is covered in cobwebs and hasn't been touched in a long time, just as Viserys' health has faded, causing him to step away from the ruling of his kingdom. Viserys' injuries cause him extreme pain, and the maesters feed him milk of the poppy to relieve him and allow him to rest. But it also fills his mind with clouds, leaving him incapable of ruling. Rhaenyra and Daemon think the Hightowers are conspiring with the maesters, forcing Viserys to drink milk of the poppy, which has allowed Alicent and Otto to take control of the kingdom. But Alicent seems to genuinely believe that it is the best course of action to comfort Viserys in his final days. To Rhaenyra and Daemon, they see it as a manipulation by Alicent and Otto to gain power, but in actuality, it might be the most humane thing to do for Viserys. Throughout the Red Keep, we see a lot of Targaryen heraldry and art has been removed and replaced with iconography of the Faith of the Seven, the main religion in Westeros, much to Daemon's dismay. The Faith and the Targaryens have had a rocky history, with Maegor Targaryen, the third king of Westeros, fighting several conflicts with their order. Maegor almost single-handedly destroyed the Warriors' Sons, a religious order of warriors and knights devoted to the Faith of the Seven. Daemon's opposition to the Faith is a subtle hint to his similarity to Maegor the Cruel, which has been brought up several times throughout the series. The Targaryens versus the Faith will be a plot point in later seasons, so they are just laying some groundwork now for later. In Alicent's chambers, it is revealed that Aegon has sexually abused a servant. Although she is sympathetic towards the girl, she ultimately threatens and gaslights her into covering up the abuse, convincing her to drink moon tea to prevent a pregnancy, just as Rhaenyra was offered moon tea earlier in the series. Alicent has had to corrupt her morals and beliefs to protect her son Aegon, becoming a hypocrite in the process. Just a couple of episodes before, she was outraged that Rhaenyra could flaunt the law through adultery with Criston and then Sir Harwin Strong. But now when her son commits adultery, and worse, sexual assault, she assists him with the cover-up. She does yell at Aegon for his actions, but it is clear to see her morals have collapsed, revealing just how far she has fallen. At this point, it is pretty clear that Aegon will have some bastards of his own running around King's Landing, which might come back to bite him later. When Helena enters the room, we also learn that Aegon and her have had several children, though there is little love between them. Luke and Jace visit the training grounds as those around them stare, convinced by their features that they are bastards of Harwin Strong. Aemond and Sir Criston Cole are seen sparring. The scene does a lot to introduce how much Aemond has developed over the last 6 years, becoming a formidable warrior with echoes of Daemon's swagger and style. Their duel also acts as a mirror to Criston and Daemon's in episode 1, where Criston was able to overwhelm Daemon with his morning star. Even the way Aemond's shield breaks is similar to Daemon's fight, but in this case, Aemond beats Criston, showing that he might be a better warrior than Daemon. But unlike Daemon, Aemond is unconcerned with tournaments, renown, and glory, seemingly only wanting revenge on Luke and Jace for his lost eye. Rhaenyra pleads with Rhaenys to back her son on the Driftwood throne, offering Luke and Jace to marry Rhaena and Baela. But Rhaenys blames Rhaenyra and Daemon for Laenor's death and intends to claim Driftmark herself. In a final act of desperation, Rhaenyra visits Viserys, begging him to step in on the matter, and the next day, Viserys shows up in a big way for Rhaenyra. He drags himself through the throne room to take his seat, determined to make the journey on his own, despite the immense pain he feels without the aid of milk of the poppy. As he makes his way up the steps to the throne, he drops his crown, only for Daemon to pick it up and aid his brother up the steps, a symbolic way to show that in the end, the brothers forgave each other and stood firmly together. Daemon spent so much time saying he did not need his brother, but it seems he has come to realize that maybe his brother needed him. Viserys is asked to weigh in on the matter of Corlys's succession, but in a twist, he asks Rhaenys for her opinion, an act that seems to patch the wounds from decades prior. Clearly, he respects her, and she ultimately speaks for Luke to inherit and accepts Rhaenyra's marriage proposal. With Viserys and Rhaenys firmly in Rhaenyra's corner, Aemond grows outraged. This ruling would see an end to House Velaryon, and in his frustration, he names the boys bastards, and Rhaenyra a whore. Viserys grows furious, mustering the strength to rise and draw his dagger to take Vaemond's tongue for his treasonous words. Rhaenys had warned Vaemond earlier in the episode that speaking this way would cause him to lose his tongue. Before anyone can blink, Daemon promptly removes Vaemond's head with Dark Sister, ending Vaemond. Vaemond's fate and character are a little bit different in the books, where he is Corlys's eldest nephew. He makes a claim for driftmark in a similar way, but is decapitated and fed to Rhaenyra's dragon Syrax. Seeing his family again, Viserys feels he must put things right. He recognizes the division within his house and wishes his legacy and House Targaryen to be left in a position of strength. He hopes to unite his house with one last meal, pleading with his family to put their grievances aside, and his words seem to convince Alicent and Rhaenyra, who speak apologetically to each other, and for a moment it seems that Viserys' wish might come true. Helaena also mutters some words. Beware the beast beneath the boards. In previous episodes, she has demonstrated some knowledge of the future, and this phrase indicates an event that will happen in the near future. Viserys gets a touching moment, seeing his family together and his legacy and House Targaryen secured, but he is overwhelmed with pain and leaves the dinner. Unfortunately, Alicent and Rhaenyra have raised their children to bear their hatred for each other's families, and have transformed their feud into an intergenerational conflict that is now outside of their control. Aegon mocks Jace and awkwardly tries to seduce Baelor, which causes Jace to rise with the intention to confront Aegon. But instead he toasts Aegon and Aemond, attempting to bury the hatchet for his grandsire's sake. But later on he asks Helaena, Aegon's wife, to dance, a move that clearly undermines and infuriates Aegon. Sure, Aegon doesn't really love his wife, but he does not want to see her with another. After his father leaves, Aemond has a roast pig brought in, and at first it seems like a self-aware joke to Luke about the pink dread joke all those years ago. But when Luke laughs, Aemond slams his fist on the table, toasting his nephews and names them strong boys, in a truly chaotic Daemon-esque manner. Clearly, Rhaenyra and Alicent's feud has transcended their original hatred for one another, passing on to their sons. Aemond is also firmly established as Alicent and the Green's answer and counter for Daemon in the future succession crisis. Despite this, Rhaenyra and Alicent still want to move past their animosity for one another, and again it seems like everything is going to work out fine. Rhaenyra plans to return her children to Dragonstone, but will come back to King's Landing as soon as possible. However, the Alicent that Rhaenyra will find upon her return will most likely not be the same Alicent she left behind. Lying in bed high on milk of the poppy, King Viserys rambles to Alicent about Aegon's dream and the prince that was promised, most likely mistaking her for his daughter. Alicent doesn't understand, believing Viserys to be talking about their son Aegon at first. However, when the king tells her she is the one that must unite the realm, something clicks inside her, and it is with a strong resolve that she leaves her husband's bedroom, believing Viserys' final wish was Aegon to rule. We also see Lady Mysaria, just to remind us that she has been gathering power and information in King's Landing. But what did you think of the episode? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below. Cheers.